Mercedes has actually had weight problems in Formula One for a very long time. And the very first weight problem that they ever had is actually the reason they have the nickname the Silver Arrows. You may remember last season when George Russell won a race but was disqualified for being too skinny, and that's because in Formula One we do have weight requirements. Before the race and after the race, the car and the driver combined must meet a certain weight requirement. And if you're under that weight like George Russell was at the time, you are immediately disqualified. However, before Formula One as we know it today existed, Mercedes participated in their very first auto race. And when they arrived at the track, they found that their car was exactly 1 kilogram overweight. Back then, all of the cars that were racing were using the colors of their flag. So that's why Ferrari still to this day races in red for Italy, and Mercedes cars at the time were actually painted white. So once they found that they were 1 kilogram overweight, Alfred Neubayr, who was the race manager at the time, which was actually the very first iteration of a team principal as we would call them today, looked at the car and said, "Take the paint off." As the legend goes, they stripped that white paint off the car and exposed the aluminum of the vehicle. And by stripping that paint off, they did make the weight limit. Later, one of their drivers was asked about driving for Mercedes and said that it is an honor to race for the Silver Arrows. The name obviously stuck, and still to this day we hear it used in reference to Mercedes Formula One team. Now, depending on who you ask, this story may have actually been made up by Alfred. He created some of that original flash and storytelling that we know of when we look at Mercedes. And there are some discrepancies as to whether that race even had a weight limit at all. However, a number of Formula One historians do report this story to be true, and personally I think it really lends to the lore of Mercedes, a team that is so good at spinning a narrative and has a history that goes all the way back to the invention of the motor vehicle itself. If you'd like to learn more about Alfred Neubayr and how he created the team principal position, more about the history of Mercedes, and how it was shaped into the team that it is today, be sure to check out this episode of Grid Chat, Petty Boys Win F1 Championships. And of course, follow along for more historical and present moments in Formula One.